All right, what's up, boxing fans? It's Aztec 101 in the ring. I have a few topics I want to talk about in this live stream. One of them being Guillermo Rigondeaux. He just recently sent out a tweet, or I don't know if it was a tweet or a fucking, it's some kind of fucking social media garbage that he continuously does. He was saying that if 2017 Lomachenko is better than 2013 Nonito Donaire, that he deserves to get paid more in this fight against Lomachenko. Look, I don't have a problem with Guillermo Rigondeaux trying to get paid. What I do have a problem with is him not mentioning the fighters in his own division. He's spending so much time worried about Lomachenko and just this little Twitter feud that it's starting to get a little frustrating. Especially as a boxing fan that knows that there's other champions in his division that will put on a good fight for him. And he's really focused on Lomachenko. And he's making absolutely zero attempts to really try to, prove to everyone that that's a fight that he really wants. Lomachenko does have options at the moment where can you really blame him if he doesn't take Rigondeaux fight? There's a lot of people going after Lomachenko's neck. He can always unify. He can always fight Mikey Garcia, right? He can fight Rigondeaux. And all these fights are an option. When I saw that Lomachenko, he sent out this cryptic tweet or something that had everyone's initial that he wanted to fight, right? And then you got Rigondeaux on the other hand, who's only focused on one fucking person, and that's Lomachenko. And it's starting to get a little obsessive. I think that what Rigo is doing, it's not necessarily trying to get a fight with Lomachenko. I think he's just really bitter with Bob Arum that Lomachenko is the guy that's right now taking over, fucking taking over the sport. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy now. I guess he sees Lomachenko as the guy that took his spot. Like he could have been there, right? But Rigo, step your fucking game up, bro. You got other fighters in your division that you should be fighting. I want to see Magdaleno. I want to see Rigo. Rigo and Magdaleno. I want to see Guillermo fight Ray Vargas. How about Oguni, right? The IBF champion. You got a champion that's holding the regular title with the WBA. Guillermo Rigondeaux is a super champ. So fight Shun Kubo. We gave Floyd Mayweather a lot of shit for holding the WBA title and not fighting Keith Thurman. The same kind of pressure that we put on all these other fighters, Guillermo Rigondeaux gets absolutely no attention. And this outcry for people to just, poor Rigondeaux, he got let go by Bob Arum. Everyone thinks he's boring. Oh, poor guy. Everyone wants us to baby that motherfucker. You're a grown-ass fucking man in a fucking man's sport. What the fuck is he doing? Let's see here. Hey, Rascalot, what's up, bro? Right off the bat, yes, he's ducking. What's up, Aztec? Rascalot, you're right, absolutely. Rigo buzz is bigger than Rigo's. Therefore, Loma is the A-side on this. Of course, Lomachenko's the A-side. And you know what? Like I said, I don't have a problem with him trying to get his just, if he wants to get paid how he feels he deserves, fine. That's fine. Right? But you don't make these kind of negotiations over Twitter. You don't. This should be backdoor shit that Rock Nation takes care of for you. Why the fuck are you with Rock Nation if you're not using them to negotiate your fights? You're negotiating on Twitter. Then you might as well just promote yourself. Just fucking let go of Rock Nation. Why give them a cut of your paycheck when you could be fucking just doing this on your own? Let's see here. Right, Lomachenko's buzz is bigger. Yeah. I got what you mean. Lomachenko right now, he's got a little bit of hype behind him, and there's a lot of people watching out for him. But he's not a pay-per-view star. He's not that guy yet. He's not. He's not. If he makes a fight that's a big fight, it's gonna be with Mikey Garcia. Right? It's going to be with Mikey Garcia. Why? Because Mikey Garcia actually has somewhat of a fan base. Rigo doesn't have really a fan base, man. Even the ones that claim to be his fans aren't really his fans, man. Like, they're not really there. Look, you can tell when someone is a fan of a fighter. When they're a fan of a fighter, all they want to do is see that fighter fight. They don't like seeing him sitting down on the sidelines, not taking on opponents, letting other champions hold belts. No. You can tell that Errol Spence has a real fan base, because automatically, as soon as Errol Spence got his title, all his fans were saying Keith Thurman's next, Pacquiao's next. He's going to unify all the titles, bring on Sean Porter. They're ready. But with Rigo, for some reason with Rigo, the only thing that they're worried about is Rigo and Lomachenko. And I think I know what it is. I don't think that the people that are supporting Rigondeaux in this endeavor of going on Twitter and making a big scene in social media, I don't think it has anything to do with whether they are real fans of Rigondeaux. It's the fact that something is triggering boxing fans to support Rigo because they don't like Lomachenko. Why they don't like Lomachenko, I have no idea. I have no fucking idea. The guy hasn't done anything wrong. He looks great when he fights. But for some reason, it's like a lot of people really just don't like Rigo. And they won't admit it. I mean, they're going to give him his props by saying, well, I know he's a good fighter, but he only has 10 fights. Pound for pound, he's already ranked number 1 because, he's white or whatever. Right. Because we see that a lot. Because we always see that. There's always a white guy as a number 1 pound for pound fighter, right? Like, there's one white guy that comes around that becomes a pound for pound fighter, a pound for pound fighter, like once every fucking 20 years. And that gets people all fucking weirded out. Rigondeaux's just got to fucking do it. He's got to fight. He's got to fight somebody. And I want to see him fight Magdaleno. And to be honest, where the fuck are all those people that were talking about Americans should be supporting Americans? Where'd they go? Magdaleno's an American. And I don't see anybody fucking talking about him. Why aren't people fucking getting behind the American fighter, right? There's all this talk about we gotta support American fighters. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. People don't really think that. It's just that it sounded right when Andre Ward was fighting Kovalev. It sounded cool, but it's not really a philosophy people live by. Let's see the comment section right here. Rock Nation is not a good promotional company. Rock Nation, there's a learning curve when it comes down to promoting fighters. Rock Nation has a lot of different athletes under their promotional company. So how much of their resources is focused on boxing, right? That's what matters. You got a lot of promotional companies, and most of them in boxing focus specifically on this sport. Rock Nation spreads itself thin, and they work with baseball players and musicians and different, football players, and they really don't just focus on one sport. So, I mean, really, how much impact can they really do? Andre Ward is an easy sell because he's already a top name. Andre Ward can really manage his own career without Rock Nation. But I can see why he would use them because it's smart. I get it. But Rigondeaux, that's something you have to build from the ground up. let's see here. Rigo is getting old too. He's wasting a lot of time chasing a fight that most likely will never happen. I honestly think that the fight will happen. You know, I do think the fight will happen. I do. I think the fight has an 80% chance of happening. And I know that sounds very random, but I feel like the odds are for the fight actually happening. Because Lomachenko seems like the type of guy that really does want to test himself. It all depends on the dancing partner. So if Lomachenko is willing to do it, is Rigo really willing to do what he says he's going to do? Is he willing to move up and fight Lomachenko? Or is this all talk? And Rigo can get that higher paycheck. He can. He can. Pick up some more belts in your fucking division. If you walk in there, I mean, if he's really that great, then he should be able to pick up all the belts that are left. He can become undisputed in his fucking division. You got guys calling him out. Magdaleno call him out. Vargas has mentioned him. I don't know about Kubo or Oguni, but make those fights happen. It's already been shown that Japanese fighters are willing to fight you. They're willing to fight you. They're not ducking you. So go and unify all those titles. Then come to Lomachenko with the fucking, you know, all the straps from your division. And yeah, you can ask for more money. But that tweet really revealed a lot. It reveals the fact that Rigondeaux is still stuck on that Donaire win. He's stuck on that Donaire win. So I'm thinking in my head, does Rigo think that Donaire is the best fighter that Rigo has ever fought? So he probably in his brain thinks, you know, I should be getting a lot more credit than what people are giving me for this one win. But he's stuck on that. That's the only example he can give. You know? Let's see here. Let me look at the comments. Rigo fans don't understand how small he actually is. He doesn't rehydrate. Seriously, he fights at 125, 128 on fight night. That's like what Roman and Carlos fight at. Right, he's a small guy. Yeah, he is a small guy. He should be focused on his own division. He should be focused on his own division. And to be honest, if you want to fight someone in a division below you, that's fine. Like, I have no problem with the fight between Carlos Cuadras and Rigondeaux. They were supposed to fight in the Panama Games. Rigondeaux made it to the finals, and the fight was supposed to be between Carlos Cuadras and Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux defected to the United States before getting that fight with Carlos Cuadras. Now you got Carlos Cuadras on top of the game. You know, he fought Chocolatito and arguably beat him. I mean, that's not a bad fight to make. I would have 100% respect for that fight. But he's not doing anything to show me that he wants to fight any of these guys. You know what I mean? He's only focused on one guy. Look, I remember when, this is the way I see it. I remember when Brooke moved up to fight Triple G. A lot of people were saying that Brooke was ducking Errol Spence to fight Triple G, right? But there's a huge difference. The fight actually was made very quickly. There was no back and forth, no Twitter wars, none of this. Well, pay me. You need to pay me as much as that other guy paid me. Blah, 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 blah. There was none of that shit. No fucking Game of Thrones memes or anything like that. It was just one day we hear that it's a possibility, and then a few weeks later we find out the fight's made. And that is how it's supposed to be done. And then, but Rigo, it's all talk. Nothing but tweets. Social media bullshit. You know what I mean? And so I would expect, if you're spending that much time on social media, that you would at least mention one of the fucking champions in your division. There's something fishy. There's something fishy, man. Something fishy with boxing. There's something fishy with the way things are going. And I'm starting to see like a little trend of bullshit call-outs. Just fucking bullshit call-outs. And I'm not happy with it, man. I'm not happy with it. Let's see here. Tone. I like Rigo's fighting style. I must be a casual. I don't think, you know what? There's nothing I don't have a problem with his fighting style. You know what I mean? I have never complained about his fighting style. I don't think I've ever complained about his fighting style. What I'm complaining about is the same thing that I complain, or that we hear complaints of other champions. It's just the same complaint. Rigo's in a position where he's so focused on Lomachenko that he's ignoring the rest of the division around him. If Lomachenko was in his division, I would understand. I would get it. But he's not. He needs to focus on the guys that are around him, that have titles. Some of these guys are undefeated. Let's see here. Those Japanese fighters come to fight. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's not, we don't see that many Japanese fighters get noticed out here in the United States. I think it's very tough for us to market them. Japan, I would imagine, is probably a little bit like, Cubans and Puerto Ricans. And, you get these little islands where you got groups of people. Obviously, Japan is a lot more populated and a lot more dense. And their people are spread out around the world. So, yeah, you might have more Japanese people, but in the United States, it's a little bit harder for us to find these fighters. We just don't see too much of them. We just don't. We don't get that much exposure, which is something that should change. I do want to start seeing some more fighters from Asia. I want to start seeing some more fighters from Africa. I'm sure Africa it's a huge continent. I mean, huge fucking continent. There's fucking fighters there. So I would love to see the sport grow. I want to see some of these guys from all around the world. And, I think Rigondeaux is a great fighter. I think he's a great fighter, which is why I have higher expectations for him, because I know he is that great. Like, I would like to see him actually prove that he is that great, instead of all this fucking bullshit talk that he's, the best and oh my God, people hate him. Bob Arum screwed him. HBO screwed him. And I'm seeing him. He's not with any of these organizations anymore. Well, he's screwing himself at the moment. Let's see here. Let me look at the comment section. Well, Rascalot, you say Rigo's boring to watch and casuals won't gravitate to that style. Rigo is boring to watch and casuals won't gravitate to that style. You know what? I disagree a little bit, because I imagine Rigondeaux versus Magdaleno will be fireworks. Like, I think that fight would be very exciting to watch, just because Magdaleno is very aggressive. Rigondeaux he's a very good defensive fighter, but he's more of a counter puncher, and he can fight. He's got pop. He's very strong for his size. So there's a good chance that when you put Rigo in there, you might get a knockout. Very good chance. Very good chance for their division. So, I think that you put the right dance partner in front of Rigo, and he should be able to entertain people. He's not like Lara. Rigondeaux does not fight like Lara. Lara is a very boring fighter. Erislandy Lara is very fucking boring. Rigondeaux is a lot more exciting. He's a lot more exciting. He does take chances. He does go for the knockout. And he has a lot of power. Let's see here. Rigo kind of reminds me of Ward. Actually beats one guy and ignores the rest of the division and immediately starts talking about Joshua. Right. You know, but the biggest difference is that it's unrealistic to think of Andre Ward fighting Anthony Joshua. You know, maybe he was still on the adrenaline from the fight, and you know, after the fight, fuck, you just beat Kovalev again. You feel like you can fucking beat anyone. So, you know, that there's that with Ward, but Rigondeaux and Lomachenko is actually a very realistic fight. It's a realistic fight. It's a fight that can happen. Definitely a fight that can happen. But what is Rigo doing to make that fight happen? Because tweets can only get you so far. Right? Twitter can only get you so far. Instagram can only get you so far. Eventually, when is Rock Nation going to send an offer to Lomachenko? You know, when is he, and if he is going to go if you expect me to believe that he's looking for that paycheck, then why isn't he applying to, look, when a fighter is in between fights, like they don't have a scheduled opponent, it's almost like they're unemployed, right? And imagine you got a buddy, right? He's unemployed, and he's sending one resume to one company. Just one company. You're going to say, wait, bro, you just sent out one resume to one company? That's it? Like, are you really trying to find a job? Are you really trying to work? Because what if they don't accept you? Aren't you going to have a plan B? Don't you want to send your resume out to 3, 4, 5 different companies so your odds of actually getting hired is raised? You know what I mean? And then if you were to hear that your buddy is just sending out one resume, what do you think? The first thing that's going to come to mind is, this guy's not really trying to work. He's not really trying to work. He's not trying. And that's how I feel with Rigondeaux. It's really that simple. That's how it looks. It looks like he's really not trying. He's sending out one resume, and that's it. I'm looking for Lomachenko. If he says yes, cool. If not, then I'm just going to sit here and wait. Let's see here. Rigo kind of... there isn't even a buzz for Terrence Crawford versus Ndongo. Rigo won't sell. I agree. Lara is the most boring in history. Man. Lara is the most boring fighter in boxing history. Lara makes Floyd Mayweather look like Tyson. He makes Floyd Mayweather look like fucking Mike Tyson. There isn't even a buzz for Terrence Crawford versus Ndongo. Of course not. Why would there be a buzz for Terrence Crawford versus Ndongo? You know? Why? Why? Why would, do you think really casual fans give a fuck? They don't even know about how many belts are there per division. You can't ask them to name the belt. What they won't know what the IBF is. They don't know what the WBA, WBC. Casual fans don't fucking know all the belt organizations. They don't know what's at stake. All they know is that they've probably seen Terrence Crawford fight before, or they've heard of him, and they don't know who the fucking Ndongo is. Let's see. Facts. Casuals don't care about belts. They just want to see a KO. They just want to see a KO, and you know what? This, little do they know, is that there's a good chance that Terrence Crawford is going to knock Ndongo the fuck out. You know? There's a very good chance that'll happen. Whether or not this is going to be an entertaining fight, I think without a doubt, Terence Crawford is a very exciting fighter. You know, sure, Postol was not the best dance partner. I get it. Postol's not the best dance partner. Kind of should have expected this to happen with Postol. But Indongo's there to get hit. Indongo is there to get hit. He will go down. I see Terence Crawford chopping down that tree and putting Indongo down on the ground, and he's going to stay there. But there's no reason why that fight... I mean, really what the argument is now within boxing fans is how significant is the fight with Terence Crawford and Indongo, right? They're going for undisputed, and I think boxing fans are right now debating on what does that really mean? Why is that important to me? You know, there's plenty of fucking fights that I want to see happen, and some of these fights, they don't even have belts on the line. You know what I mean? They don't have belts on the line. They don't. I mean, if Danny Garcia fought Sean Porter, that'd be a great fight. That'd be a fucking amazing fight. I would love to see that fight. There's no belts on the line. But that's a meaningful fight. That would be a meaningful fight for both of them. Right? Doesn't really matter who wins. So there's a lot of fights out there where belts aren't even on the line and they're still meaningful. This one, you got all 4 belts on the line, and I think a lot of boxing fans are starting to realize that, well, you know, undisputed, it's a trinket, it's cool, but you're not gonna leap over other fighters just because you have all 4 titles. Especially if you're getting all these titles fighting an unknown underdog. You know what I mean? An extreme underdog. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Let's see here. Hey, Red Fox. Yo, Red Fox, what's up, man? Hey, I got to say something. Oh, Fancy Knowledge. What's up, bro? Red Fox, man, I gotta say, you've been putting up some gold, man. I've been watching your videos, and I 100% agree with what you were saying with Erislandy Lara. You know? Erislandy Lara, I made a video, I think it was like a month ago. And I was saying that Erislandy Lara, in my opinion, is the worst champion today in boxing. For the past 4 years, he hasn't been doing anything with this belt, and he's just held on to that title. And I'm starting to think, like, why is he even champion? Why is he champion? You know, how is that belt not getting stripped? What the fuck is the WBA thinking? And you would think that with an organization that makes money off sanctioning fees, that you would want your fighter to not just be fighting consistently, so they're constantly bringing in income. You would want them to be making a lot of money, so you get a higher percentage off the fight, right? But there's no, like, I would fucking strip, if I was a WBA, I would strip Lara. I would fucking strip Lara and give it to Demetrius Andrade. Fuck it. Give it to Demetrius Andrade, see what he does with it. Like, why would you have it sit there with Erislandy Lara? What the fuck is he doing? You know? Let's talk a little bit about Terence Crawford and Indongo. Well, before I do that, let me look at the comments section. Let's talk a little bit about Indongo and Crawford. You guys know that every belt is going to charge $100,000 a piece. $100,000 a piece. I'm curious. So if the undisputed champion is to defend all 4 titles, is he going to have to pay in his next fight $400,000 in just sanctioning fees alone? This is why undisputed doesn't make sense to me. It's not the end all be all. It's not even the most important thing in the world. This is why I understand when, champions drop belts. I understand what the fuck is going on. I understand why, I think more fighters need to be doing like what Canelo does. Sometimes he'll fight somebody like what he did with Lara, but there's no belt on the line. As long as you're fighting the people you're supposed to be fighting, I do not give a shit about the belt. You know what I mean? I don't care about the belt. And fuck, man, they're gonna get raped in this fight. Let's see here. Rasclot, I hope Indongo wins. Fancy knowledge, I'm rooting for Indongo. You know what? I love an underdog. And I am slowly but surely starting to think that I think come fight night, I'm going to be rooting for Ndongo too. Nothing against Crawford. I'm in the middle because I really like Crawford. I like Terrence Crawford. But I like an underdog, And Ndongo, how great would it be? You got a guy from Nambia, right? Relatively unknown in the boxing world. I don't think we can name off the top of our head any champions, any boxers that are coming out of there or that have came out of there. I can't name any off the top of my head, but I think it would be great for Ndongo. It would be great for his people. It would be great for the entire country. So I'm really rooting for him, man. The guy probably did not come from the easiest background. It's a great opportunity for Ndongo and his family. So I feel like an asshole rooting against him. You know what I mean? Even though I like Terrence Crawford, I do feel like an asshole rooting against him. Like I said before, I have a soft spot for immigrants, man. I really do. I really do. Let's see here. Yeah, the sanctioning fees are bullshit. They said it was $100,000 per fighter, not each. Oh, okay, $100,000 per fighter. So they're each paying $100,000. Okay, that makes more sense. But that's still a lot of money. You know what I mean? That's still a lot of money. That's not including what Uncle Sam is going to tap into, or Top Rank is going to tap into, or the coach, the trainer, all the food. How much are they going to be able to keep? I'm sure they get to keep, a livable earning. I'm sure they're going to be able to take home enough to where they're comfortable. But still, $100,000 just to say that you have these belts, it's not worth it. And let me ask you guys something. If these belts were not on the line, what kind of fight would this be? Would this be a cherry pick for Crawford compared to any of the other fights that potentially can happen with Terrence Crawford? Because to me, I'm really looking past this fight. I am. And I don't want to, because I want to be able to root for Ndongo and all that. But I am looking past this because I really feel like Crawford's just going to win this fight. And I'm excited to see if Crawford moves up. I heard him talk about Keith Thurman, and I'd like to see that fight. Fancy says, no cherry pick. Well, I mean, Troy picked fought Ndongo as a cherry pick. He fought the number 15th guy. He didn't fight number 1 or number 2 for his division. I think what was it, the IBF title, right? He didn't fight the number 1 guy. He didn't fight the number 2 guy. He fought number 15 in Ndongo. So if for Troy, who's not really well known and we don't see him as a world beater, if that's a cherry pick, for someone like Crawford, I think this is somewhat of a cherry pick. I mean, I would imagine that a tougher fight would be someone like Amir Khan, Danny Garcia, Lucas Matisse, guys that were big names, notable names at 140. Travinsky is 37. Ndongo is going to be harder than we think. Ndongo is going to be harder than we think. I mean, I don't doubt that he's got heart. I don't doubt that he really wants it. I don't doubt that. I just think that Terrence Crawford is an elite fighter. I think Crawford's an elite fighter. And I think that Ndongo hasn't shown me that he's elite. And, when you get these kind of matchups with guys that are not elite, like to me, I feel like it's a gap like Canelo versus Liam Smith. Like Liam Smith was undefeated. He held a title. But we all knew he was the weakest the weakest champ in the division, right? Like, even though he was undefeated, like, you couldn't fool the boxing public to think that he is the monster in that division, right? So you can't sell the fight that way. And it's just one of those things where you kind of see the same thing with Ndongo. Like, he has these titles, he's undefeated, but I mean, he's not a world beater. He's not that guy. He hasn't shown me he is. Tom Brady was 6th round pick. Look how he turned out. Good point. Good point. Good point. But I don't know. I don't know how does that translate to boxing. I see your analogy. I'm thinking about it right now, and it makes sense. It's a very good point. I guess we won't know until fight night. Because I could be wrong. It could turn out that Ndongo is an elite fucking fighter. It could turn out that Ndongo is one of the best in the world, right? And he might prove it to me. But what are the chances? What are the chances? What are the odds? Terrence Crawford is A-class for sure. Absolutely. No doubt in my mind. He is definitely an A-class fighter. Yeah, absolutely. And he should be fighting A and B level opponents. He should. He's active enough to where I don't mind the Ndongo fight. I really don't mind the Ndongo fight. I guess the only thing I'm arguing are boxing fans that are making this fight a lot more meaningful than what it really is. Realistically, it doesn't mean much. How much credit are we going to give Terrence Crawford for beating Ndongo? Who do you want to see Crawford against after Ndongo? Roman. I want to see him against some of the guys at 147. I want to see him start off with the guys that have moved up from 140. So Danny Garcia, Amir Khan. I would love to see him against Manny Pacquiao. I would love to see him against Keith Thurman. I would love to see him against Lucas Matisse. I would like to see him against Lamont Peterson. I would like to see him against. I wish Timothy Bradley was still there. I would have loved to see that fight. You know. So there's definitely a handful of fighters. And could you imagine if Terrence Crawford had all those names on his resume? He would be pound for pound king, without a doubt. With all those names, right? All those names, he would be pound for pound king. Ndongo would fall on the wayside. This wouldn't even be his toughest opponent. I mean, this is, it's not, I don't know. Mikey Garcia, that's right. I would like to see him against Mikey Garcia. And that's another thing, too, is that even if he gathers all the belts, if Mikey Garcia moves up to 140, there will still be the question of who's the best in that division. You still want to know who's better, Terrence Crawford or Mikey. You know, this idea that because you have all the belts, all of a sudden you've proven that you're the best in that division. No, that's not what it means. It just means you have all the belts. That's all it means. Proving that you're the best in that division means that you have to fight the motherfuckers in that division. And Ndongo is not the only guy at 140. Which is why I can't put that much, emphasis on how little undisputed means. There's a lot of people right now saying that undisputed, that's the most important thing that should be happening in boxing. That should be a priority, and it's not necessarily true. It's not about the belts. It's about who you're fighting. So, even if Jesse Magdaleno did not have a belt, I would still want him to fight Rigondeaux. But the fact that he does have a belt, obviously, it helps sell the fight. It makes it more meaningful. So, it's something that I would want to see. I want to see Rigondeaux fight the best in his division. Let's see. Crawford versus anyone at 147. Mikey won't speak his name for some reason. Marvin Gardens. Oh, that's not true, man. Mikey Garcia has talked about Terrence Crawford. I did a video, responding to 78 Sports TV, and it was very simple. I showed Mikey Garcia talked about the Terrence Crawford fight. He said that there's a fight between either Crawford or Ndongo would be great, but he doesn't want Bob Arum. He doesn't know how Bob Arum will react to that fight. So he said he's not gonna wait around for that fight. So obviously he's got other names. It's not just Lomachenko, He's not just searching for Lomachenko. He's got other names around him that he wants to fight. There's a reason why he threw in, Keith Thurman in there. I mean, he just wants to let the welterweight division know that he's willing to fight those guys too. So there's a good chance that maybe Mikey Garcia versus Danny Garcia might happen. You never know. He still has his title at 135. I mean, he can go back down there and just defend it against maybe unify against another champion. He has options. So Mikey Garcia has spoken about Terrence Crawford. He has spoken about Terrence Crawford. And he made it very clear that Bob Arum, there's a good chance that he might get in the way of that fight. Let Mikey Garcia fight Lomachenko first, then worry about Crawford. Let's see here. Let Mikey Garcia fight Lomachenko first, then worry about Crawford. Okay. Yeah, Lomachenko's got to want the fight, though. He's got to want the fight. So if that fight doesn't happen, there's other options for both these guys. I would prefer the Terrence Crawford fight with Mikey Garcia. I would prefer the Terrence Crawford fight. After seeing them next to each other between Mikey Garcia and Lomachenko, I noticed that there's a size difference. And I think that I would rather see Mikey Garcia make a name for himself fighting bigger guys, you know? Fight guys that where you're the underdog, where you're the smaller guy, you know? That's what I would like to see Mikey do. So, and I think Terrence Crawford would be a more dangerous fight. Lomachenko would be the type of fight that, you know, I think it'll go 12 rounds, but there's a good chance that Lomachenko might be a little bit too fast for him, a little bit too quick on his feet. Terrence Crawford, he's fast, but not as fast as Lomachenko. So, you know, you'll have a better chance with Crawford. Crawford likes to fight. We saw that with Gamboa. Gamboa landed some heavy shots on Terrence Crawford. You know, I've never seen anybody land shots so cleanly and effectively and consistently. Look, here's the thing. Terrence Crawford, I guess the reason why he's so exciting is because he doesn't have the best defense in the world. You know, his defense it's mediocre. It's not that great. What's great about him is his offense. Lomachenko has much better defense. Much better defense. He moves around a lot better. He gets hit a lot less. Crawford is also there to get hit, you know. Let's see here. If Terrence Crawford loses, what's next for Rigondeaux? We know what's next for Terrence Crawford if he wins. Rigondeaux, then Rigondeaux and Mikey Garcia. You know, I think that would be a great fight. I think Rigondeaux bears less responsibility to move up and weight over Terrence Crawford because they're in two different points of their career. Terrence Crawford has, you know, he already has he has a thicker resume, so it's time to get the ball rolling on Terrence Crawford and get those bigger names on under his belt. But with Rigondeaux, you know, you would still, even after Terrence Crawford, even if Rigondeaux beats Terrence Crawford, you still have to build Rigondeaux's name. So, you know, I wouldn't mind if Rigondeaux stayed there and fought at 140 for a little bit. And I think, you know, just building that fight with Mikey Garcia would be great. But Rigondeaux has the frame and he has the size to be able to move up to 147. And he can also fight, you know, Keith Thurman. He can fight Keith Thurman. He can fight, you know, Lamont Peterson and Errol Spence and all these guys. He can fight them all. Let's see here. Hank Lundy was tagging Crawford clean. Lil Gamboa rocked Bud. Yeah. Crawford, I think he's an A-level striker. He's an offensive fighter. His defense, it's not the best. Okay? I think Mikey Garcia has better defense than Crawford. But I think Crawford has a better offense than Mikey Garcia. And that's why that fight makes it interesting. Terrence Crawford is like how would I who could I let's see who can I picture him being compared to? I guess he's like Shane Mosley. You know? Like Shane Mosley at 140. You know, very strong, powerful, just a beast, knocking people out. But obviously his defense, you know, isn't the best. It isn't the best. He gets hit. You know what I mean? Doesn't get hit a lot. You know, it's not like it's not like he's a punching bag, but you know, his defense just isn't the best. Let's see here. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna light up my blunt right here while I talk to you guys. Just 1 second. Just give me 1 second. All right. Indongo gonna probably fight Lipinets or Imam to keep those belts. And those are good fights, you know? Those are good fights. Especially Imam. I don't know about Lipinets. I mean, it might be a good tune-up fight. Or not a stay busy fight, you know? But you know, there's a lot more room for Indongo to stay at 140. Build a name, build notoriety, get people's attention, and then move up to 147. You know, while Terrence Crawford, he's already got the train going. You know, there's already the hype train has already been on the track and going. So it's at full speed right now. And if he beats Indongo and becomes undisputed, there's a good chance that, you know, he can make a lot of money at 147. But you know, what are the chances that Bob Arum allows Terrence Crawford to risk it all and fight Keith Thurman? You know? What are the chances that Terrence Crawford is allowed to fight, even Manny Pacquiao? I know when people envision the whole Manny Pacquiao-Terrence Crawford fight, they automatically, you know, think, well, Bob Arum is protecting Manny Pacquiao from Crawford. But what if it's the other way around? I mean, there's a good chance that Crawford could get fucking put to sleep by Manny Pacquiao. And I get it. Pacquiao hasn't put anyone to sleep recently, but you know what I mean. I mean, he can get a beating by if Terrence Crawford beat Manny Pacquiao the way Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao, right? And Terrence Crawford had that same 9th round against Pacquiao, the same way that Horn had against Pacquiao. This would not be a good look for it. Would drop the stock of Terrence Crawford. That one round, even if you won the fight, you know, the fact that people are calling it a robbery, the fact that that you got touched up and Horn got fucked up in the 9th round, that was a very good round for Pacquiao. And if he would have that kind of performance in just one round, it would lower the stock of Terrence Crawford. People would look like he's vulnerable. So, you know, there's a huge risk that goes both ways when putting Terrence Crawford, you know, alongside with Manny Pacquiao. Only Crawford beats Mikey below 147, and Mikey beats Lomachenko. That's Marvin Gardens. Hey, I see it as a reverse. I think Mikey Garcia has a better chance with Crawford than with Lomachenko. You know, I think that Lomachenko is a tougher fighter in the sense where he's going to be fighting a smaller target that likes to move around. And I don't think Mikey Garcia is any bigger than Nicholas Walters. So, you know, it's not going to be a huge size difference, especially if they all drop down to 135. And, you know, Mikey Garcia, he doesn't have the fastest hands in the world. He's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of power. But it's easier for him to look good if there's a target in front of him. And Lomachenko is just not that guy. He's not that guy. He's not a standing target for anyone. He moves. He moves a lot. And that's very difficult to deal with when you're Mikey Garcia, you know. Mikey Garcia doesn't have the fastest feet, doesn't have the fastest hands. He's very patient, and that could all work against him come fight night. He could look like Marquez. Him versus Lomachenko could look like Marquez versus Floyd Mayweather, where you got Marquez landing maybe 12 punches in a round, you know, but Floyd's landing 30 and moving around the ring, making a miss, you know. It could look like that stylistically. So Mikey Garcia, I think, would have not necessarily an easier fight, but Terrence Crawford will be dangerous. He would be a lot more dangerous in the sense of he's a bigger puncher. He's more aggressive. He's more offensive. But the fact that Terrence Crawford's defense isn't the best will help Mikey Garcia in that fight, and I think that it'll make it a lot more even. And both fights are good fights, though. They're very good fights. Let's see here. Walters don't know how to impose his size. Mikey does. I don't know, man. Walters. I mean, when he fought Mariaga, he used his size. He used his height. Against Donaire, he used his size. He used his height. He was fighting like a tall man. I mean, he would land. I think he knocked him out with a shot on top of his head. He was landing big boy shots, man. He was landing the shots that tall guys should be landing, on top of the head and uppercuts. I still think Nicholas Walters is a very good fighter. Even though he quit against Lomachenko. Sad to see him do that because I had higher expectations for him, but I still think he's a good fighter. Mikey Garcia, I think he's a good fighter, but I do think that he's limited when it comes down to his speed, his foot speed, and his hand speed. And mind you, we're not talking about someone that's in his division. We're talking about someone who's obviously smaller than him. And Lomachenko's smaller, and he's a lot faster. He's just a lot faster, man. Terrence Crawford, he's fast for his division, but he's not the fastest. Gamboa had faster hands than Terrence Crawford. And Crawford still beat him. So I don't know. You never know what could happen. Bias speaking, I wouldn't mind if Walters gets to KO Rigo. Fuck, that would be a cool fight, right? And that would be a great comeback for Walters. I don't know if people would give him too much credit because Walters is a big guy. He's a tall guy. Rigo's really small, but yeah, man. If he KOs Rigo, man, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people jumping on that Walters bandwagon again. The one thing I loved about Walters was his uppercut. Fucking brutal. That shit came from hell. That's why they call him the Axeman, I think. I mean, he just chops motherfuckers down. I wouldn't, you know what? I'm going to tell you guys, I wouldn't mind a rematch with Lomachenko and Walters. I would not mind a rematch. Let's see Walters do it again. Let's see if he actually wants to stay in the whole fight or if he actually wants to win this time. Yeah, I think it's important for him to avenge that loss. Even if he goes in there and puts on a good fight and stays all 12 rounds, if it turns out that Lomachenko is a better fighter, that's fine. But I think the main thing is you got to prove to everyone and prove to your countrymen that you're not a quitter, because I think this is one of the universal things that I notice. It's like it doesn't matter who it is. Once you get labeled a quitter, you start seeing that your countrymen look down on you. You know what I mean? And it happens with a lot of fighters. Look at Victor Ortiz, man. Look at Victor Ortiz. When I went to go watch the fight against him and Berto, Ortiz versus Berto 2, people were booing the shit out of Ortiz. And as soon as he lost, automatically everyone was yelling, he quit. I remember they were throwing food at him. after the fight while he was walking towards his out the ring. Someone threw a pizza box or some shit, and it was a Mexican dude. You know, I'm telling you, no one hates Victor Ortiz more than Mexicans. You know what I mean? Because he quit. Let's see. I'd like to see him rematch Sosa too. Yeah, that would be a good fight. That's the fight where he got a draw, if I'm not mistaken. That's the fight where he got a draw. And I know a lot of people were upset with the outcome of that fight. I think I had Walters winning that fight. So that's a good fight to remake. But nothing is. I don't think anything will take more of a priority than Lomachenko. Nothing takes priority more than Lomachenko. He has to fight. You know, maybe a fight between. I don't know. Could you imagine Mikey Garcia and Nicholas Walters? I know no one's really asking for that fight, but I think that's a good fight. Let's see here. He doesn't have to rematch Sosa. Everyone knows who won that fight. Marvin Gardens. Everyone that watched it knows who won the fight, but, you know, there's a lot of people that don't follow all these fights, and they go based on box rec, and, you know, they'll see the draw, and that's it. That's what they saw. And they'll go based on that sometimes. So I think it would be important to reintroduce Nicholas Walters and avenge, you know, draws and losses, you know. And that's one thing that a lot of the older generation, they used to do a lot. They used to hand out a lot more draws in fights. So you would see, you know, Sugar Ray Robinson and his era, a lot of the fighters that he fought, you know, you look at Jersey Joe Wilcott, or you look at some of these guys, and they have a lot of draws. And then if you look at the scorecards from back in the day, there's a lot more even rounds than you see today. So these fighters used to fight each other consistently. I mean, someone will beat someone 2-3 times, and they'll still fight them again because there can't be any doubt who is better. You know what I mean? And I wish that some of these fighters had that kind of energy. Especially nowadays. I kind of wish that they had the energy of proving really that they're better. And sometimes that means fighting a fighter more than once. But it has to make sense. It doesn't have to happen with everyone. I think one fight with Sosa just to clear up the air would be great. And then work your way to fight Lomachenko. Let's see here. What's the comment section? I have to see how much he's improved since then. Ever watch Hands of Stone? I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that movie yet. Unfortunately. I want to watch it. I just haven't gone around to do it. It's garbage. Oh, why you say that? Red Fox. There was a scene where a kid was mocking the shit out of Duran after he quit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, people didn't like, and I'm assuming you're saying after he quit against Leonard, right? Yeah, man. Duran can never live that down. He can't live that down. I mean, isn't there a documentary called No Mas, No More? I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine that you're known now? Not for everything you did, not for fighting all these big guys, not for doing the impossible, but you're known for quitting in this one fight. I mean, it's just one of those things, man, that quitting can really, really hurt your career. I mean, even after Nicholas Walters quit against Lomachenko, you look at all the YouTube videos and they were saying, oh, Nicholas Walters said no mas. Now, anytime anybody quits, it's no mas. You know, and let's see here. Usher ass cheek shot ruined it. Why would they have Usher's ass cheeks on a fucking movie? What? Aw, thank you, Rascalot. I don't want to see that shit. I mean, all in all, I did want to see the movie, though. I did want to see it. When I saw the previews for it, I was excited for it, and I don't know what happened. I don't know. Got distracted. Yeah, well, Hollywood likes to ruin movies, man. They ruin good stories because they always have the same formula. You know, they got to show a love scene. Sex is huge in Hollywood, man. It's huge in Hollywood. They have to show you something. A fucking titty, a butt cheek, something. They got to show you something. And Hollywood's just gotten a lot more provocative. I remember in high school, I did a project. It was my final, my senior year, and I had psychology. I was taking psychology, and my project was on the psychological effect of violence in America, just violence in general, right? And I remember there was a quote, and I think it was, who was it? Prominent actor, well known, but I fucking forgot his name. Anyways, he said, if you wanna, if you show a titty if you show tits, it's rated R. But if you cut the tit off with the machete and you show blood and it's all that, then it's PG-13. And that's how it used to be. You know, it used to be where you can get really violent and still keep it PG-13. And as soon as they show a titty or anything, it's rated R. And now those ratings have gotten more lenient, and you're starting to notice some PG-13 stuff show more skin. And things are changing now. It's just a lot more sexualized. Duran's story could have been a 10-part HBO series. You know, I wish there was more there was more series on HBO where they go on individual fighters. You know, they don't have to go that far back. You know, they really don't have to go that far back. I would love to know more about Meldrick Taylor. I would like to know more about some of these fighters. I mean, Hatton. I would like to know more about Gotti. I would like to know more about, I would love to know more about Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard, Hearns. But aren't you guys kind of tired of constantly hearing the same names over and over and over again? But it's almost like they're gone past the point of there's like no, there's not even any criticism. We don't even hear any criticism of things they could have done, things they should have done in their division, like the way we talk about fighters now. It's almost like they're treated like everything they did was right. And I don't know. I don't think that that's how the story really goes when you start breaking it down. I would like to know more about the fighters that were around them that didn't get a shot at Leonard, you know? The guy that wanted to call out, the guy calling out Duran and he didn't get the shot with Duran, you know? Kind of would like to know more about these no-name fighters that I am sure are around history all over the place, and really the ones that know more about it are the older media members that were around in that time. All right, guys. So I got a question for you guys. This is a little bit different. I'm not talking about Rigo or Lomachenko anymore. But what do you guys think about Canelo Alvarez saying that if McGregor pulls the upset, that he's willing to fight him? Oh, Rascalot. Gotti's story would be interesting, and so would Hector Camacho. Yeah, absolutely. Camacho has a great story. I mean, he was a great character, interesting guy, controversial, talked shit, friendly. People loved him. I mean, I'd love to know more about him, and I think putting it in a story would be a good way for me to enjoy boxing and sit down with my girl and get her to watch a show and just say, hey, just watch it. It's a love story. You know what I mean? It's about a boxer, but I'll be able to enjoy it, you know? Rascalot, Canelo would kill McGregor. Right. And, you know, I see a lot of people are upset, though. They're saying, well, Canelo was saying all these negative things about Floyd Mayweather fighting McGregor, and then now he wants to fight McGregor. What do you guys think about that? Unlike Floyd, Canelo's been active. I'd rather none of these guys fight Conor. Well, none of these boxers fight Conor. This is the way I see it, guys. This is the way I see it. Canelo lost to Floyd Mayweather. That's just a fact. It's his only loss. And honestly, I mean, really think about it. If Conor McGregor is really able to pull that upset and he beats Floyd Mayweather, I mean, why wouldn't Canelo want to get in the ring with the guy? I mean, you beat the guy that beat me. I wasn't able to do it. But you did it coming into your first fucking fight in boxing. You beat the guy that beat me. So I think that that Canelo, I think you can't look. Here's the thing. It is what it is. The fight's happening. I'm not happy about it. The fight is happening between Floyd and Conor McGregor. And there's no more, boxing talk. Like, I know that we like to say that, you got casuals coming in here saying that McGregor can win and he's got all these chances of winning. And we want to educate them on boxing and tell them it's not that easy. All that talk is over now. It's not up to our knowledge or our fanaticism or it's not up to fanatics anymore to say what's going to happen. Now it's up to Floyd Mayweather to actually win. And if it comes down to it and McGregor beats Floyd Mayweather, we can't let fucking Conor McGregor walk away. We can't let him walk away with that win. Like, really? You're just going to come in here, beat the guy that the media is pumping out as the best fighter in this generation, the best boxer in this generation. You're just going to walk in here, beat him, and walk away? Fuck no. let's see here. Um, I hope McGregor keeps boxing and getting his ass whooped. McGregor beating Floyd is as realistic as life on Mars. Hey, I look, I get it, but the question is winning the lottery, right? It's that whole winning the lottery. What if he wins that lottery? What if he lands that money shot and he wins? I mean, I don't think I would. It would be a very hard argument to say that it's very hard to say that it's not possible. You know what I mean? It is boxing, and we always say this in boxing, that anybody with two hands has a puncher's chance. All you need is a pair of hands. I mean, this is something that we say all the time. We always make this comment whenever we talk about some of the underdogs that come into boxing and they have a big fight. You know, they always have a puncher's chance. So why would McGregor be an exception? You know? Of course he has a puncher's chance. So realistically, talking about what if McGregor wins, you know, I think someone like Canelo would want to fight him. It would be as a fighter. As a fighter, can you really blame Canelo for wanting to fight someone that beat the guy that beat him? You know, the only guy that has beaten him, Floyd Mayweather. So, and remember, Canelo said that based on the fact that, you know, if Conor McGregor won. And, you know, a lot of you guys, you know, Red Fox, you said it's a money fight, right? Even if McGregor loses and they make a fight with Conor McGregor, it's still a money fight. You know, but I think it would be very important for not just boxing, but Canelo's career to fucking take out McGregor if McGregor's the one that took out Floyd. Let's see here. Algieri beats Conor easily. Robert Guerrero beats him too. Except Paulie Malignaggi. McGregor has power, but not professional boxing power. Who wins from McCall and McGregor? I mean, here's the thing. Even when we're talking about, you know, like Conor McGregor versus some of these guys, it would mean less if it would mean less if Conor McGregor was going in there and was fighting like, you know, Lamont Peterson. But fact is that he's fighting Floyd Mayweather. And you know, we can sit here and say that all these guys will beat him, right? We can sit here and say that all these guys will beat him, but the only one that has to beat him come fight night is going to be Floyd Mayweather. And he bears a responsibility, not just to himself, but to us as boxing fans to win that fucking fight. He's got to win that fight. He's got to win that fight. You can't allow Conor McGregor to come into the sport, treat you like a bitch in front of everyone. I mean, the way that he talks shit to Ellerby and Floyd and say that he runs boxing, talking about how this is half of a fight. You can't just do that and walk away with the win. Floyd can't allow that to happen. It would make boxing look bad. MMA fighters get KO'd a lot because they don't get hit as much as boxers do. That's why. I mean, that's not necessarily true. You know, boxers aren't getting kicked in the head. You know, there's a lot of different ways to put brain damage on someone, and some of the chokes that they have to defend against. You know, getting choked out, constricting oxygen flow to your brain definitely kills brain cells, and it's not good for you. So, yeah, it's not necessarily just taking punches to the head. It's also, you know, it's just different types of brain damage. Let's see here. How small are the gloves? 8 ounces. They're supposed to be 10. You know, that's another thing too. Is that what if Floyd Mayweather ends up injuring his hand again in these 8-ounce gloves? What if he ends up injuring his hand? Do you think McGregor could even make the Irish Olympic team? Could he even make the junior team? Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of boxers that don't make Olympic runs. You know, there's a lot of professional boxers that don't make Olympic runs, and they still end up, you know, becoming world champions. So it's not necessarily end all be all just because, you know, he wasn't a successful amateur. You know, we do have to understand that Conor McGregor is a fighter. He is a fighter. He's not I guess, you know, taking a punch to the face isn't foreign to him. You know, this isn't the same as a basketball player boxing. It's not the same as a soccer player boxing. And even a soccer player, I mean, look at Sergio Martinez. Sergio Martinez was a professional soccer player, right? And look what he's done with his professional career. So, someone like hindsight's 2020. We don't know where Conor McGregor is going to be in the next 10 years. So if he ends up finding some success in boxing, and, you know, he finds out that there's a bigger paycheck and there's more money to be made in boxing, and he sticks with it, you know, he is a mixed martial artist. You know, he is a mixed martial artist, and boxing is a martial art. In the end, this is part of his development. So, you know, whether or not he stays in boxing doesn't really matter. He's going to use what he learns in the ring in MMA. And I'd like to see MMA fighters improve their hands. You know, this really isn't the best way to do it. Obviously, it would have been better if he would have just trained with Floyd Mayweather. He would learn a lot more in a sparring session than he is going to learn getting beat the fuck up by Floyd Mayweather in a fight. But you know, this is a little bit of this is a little bit of it's not just a money grab. This is a marketing campaign for Floyd Mayweather and the UFC. Little does Floyd Mayweather know, he is fighting on behalf of boxing, all of boxing. He doesn't know it yet. Or maybe he does. But regardless, whether he says it or not, he is fighting on behalf of boxing. And Conor McGregor is fighting on behalf of the UFC. And the winner of this fight is going to take home the majority of the casual fans that are going to watch. There's a lot on the line in this fight. A lot on the line. And we can't let, you know, McGregor just walk in here into our sport, beat the best guy in our division, in our generation, and not have him see any of the up-and-coming younger fighters that are making names for themselves, especially guys that are within his weight division. You know, Let's see here. The thing with MMA fights is they get stopped soon. But with boxing, the repeated blows to the head over a round, instead of getting stopped earlier, can be very damaging. I heard this argument before that boxing is more dangerous than MMA, right? But I don't necessarily believe that, because in boxing, the referee is constantly looking at the fighter's eyes. And while in the MMA world, even if you get dropped, you can still receive damage. A lot of these fighters are falling on, they're falling on their back, their head slams against the floor, and then they get choked out after. So, it's not, it's pretty brutal if you think about it. It's really brutal. These MMA fighters are taking a lot of damage. Sometimes they take more damage than boxers, because when they fall on their back, if a boxer if his hands touching or his glove touches the ground, that's a knockdown. That's a knockdown or a slip. But regardless, the referee is responsible on checking to see if the fighter's okay. In the UFC, a fighter falls on his back, and he continues to take blows, ground and pound and all that. The guy could be I've seen so many MMA fighters, they look like they're knocked out, and the ref takes such a long time to stop the fight that the guy wakes back up in the middle of a ground and pound and starts fighting again. And not just the damage that they take in fights, but MMA guys, they spar a lot harder too. There's camps out there that really go fucking hard. They choke each other out. They have no problems fucking breaking each other's limbs in training, and all that shit. That shit's all damaging. Let's see here. Example, getting knocked out in 1 round versus 12 rounds of a beating is worse than the KO. When they get choked, it's stopped. Getting KO 12 rounds of a beating. Right. Yeah, there's definitely 12 rounds of it depends on the fight, man. Depends on the fight. Depends on who you're fighting and how you're fighting. Someone like Orlando Salido, you can say is fucking durable, probably more durable than any MMA fighter out there, because he takes punishment and he gives it, and yeah. So someone like him, very durable. But these MMA guys are taking kicks to the face, and you just have to know that the amount of pressure, the amount of weight applied to a hit, pounds per square inch. A fist can deliver, like 800 pounds of pressure. But a kick could apply 1,500 pounds of pressure. So it really depends on what happens. I mean, look at the fight with, I don't know if you guys saw Daniel Cormier versus Daniel Cormier versus John Jones, right? Daniel Cormier took a kick to the head. He stumbled backwards. His legs couldn't keep himself up, and he fell. So if that was boxing, that would have been a knockdown. and the ref would have been able to check on him and see if he's out. And they would have noticed he's out, and they would have called off the fight. But instead, it's MMA, and John Jones was allowed to land unnecessary punches that could cause a lot more damage. While, and getting hit while you have that concussion it just makes it so much worse. And you got to understand too, a lot of these fighters in MMA, the weight divisions, they don't have the in betweens. I heard that they're trying to add more weight divisions to the UFC because a lot of these guys are cutting weight, a lot of weight. Let's see here. Boxing fan, what's up, man? What's up? Kicks deliver a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In amateur MMA, there has been a death here and there, but boxing is fucking dangerous. Dangerous, have to take blows in practice. Yeah, well, here's the thing too with boxing, there's a lot of things that the organization or just as an industry, we've already fixed a lot of problems. There's things that you can't avoid in this is a fight. Someone's going to get hurt. And that's the whole point of some of the techniques, or most of the techniques. It's to hurt your opponent. But we do use headgear in amateur fights. The gloves are bigger in amateur fights. MMA amateurs, I think they use the same gloves, as a professional. I don't think they use headgear. So even amateurs have to they have to be very careful. And MMA fighters too, there's a lot more mismatches in MMA, and because there aren't that many organizations offering amateur, like you can do a lot of different things with amateurs in boxing. There's golden gloves in different cities and different states. There's tournaments. There's the Olympic team. There's a lot of things you can do with boxing and the amateurs. A lot of MMA fighters, they go pro really soon. They don't have too many amateur fights. And if they do have an amateur fight, it's a lot of the times in a specific sport. So they'll pick, Muay Thai or kickboxing or karate, and they'll have amateur bouts, in those, particular, martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments and things like that. But MMA right now, there's even the smaller organizations that are around where you can, I have some footage on my channel. If you guys go check it out and look through my videos, there's a few fights that I recorded when I went to Indian reservation where they were holding an MMA fight. A lot of these smaller organizations for MMA are held in Indian reservations because there's less rules. And when it comes down to taxes and how much you have to pay a fighter and things like that. But, I think it's, what's his name? Mighty Mouse? That MMA fighter, the guy that they call number one pound for pound. He came from Alaska. He used to fight in Alaska, some of the smaller organizations that are in Indian reservations. And so that's how some of these guys get started, and they're fighting bums. I'm telling you, they're like, when you watch my videos, if you guys go check it out, it ends real quick. Someone's getting knocked out because, they're not weeding out the weak as well as boxing is, Golden Glory 79. Yeah, we got an Indian casino that puts MMA fights on. Yup. And that's where you see a lot of these small town fights happen. And a lot of big names and a lot of hey, what's up, boxing comments? What's up? Let's see here. In between my lunch break. All right, bro. Thanks for joining in. Let's see here. Davis needs more stamina. His only chance versus Loma is the first half of the fight. Otherwise, it's going to Loma. Right. Which is why I'm saying that Davis kind of does need to build himself up to Lomachenko. But I did see an interview with Davis, and I wasn't happy with his answer when they asked him about Lomachenko. He really doesn't seem like he wants to fight Loma. Like, he made it seem like, yeah, we might fight, but, you know, he's saying, oh, Lomachenko's got to rush his career because he started late. I'm still young. I don't have to do that, which is all true. But you know, the simple question is, are we going to see eventually Gervonta Davis versus Lomachenko? And the answer should just be yes. Yeah, that's a fight I want. It shouldn't be, well, you know, I really don't have to fight him because I don't have to. It doesn't make sense. I don't like that answer. I wasn't happy with Davis's answer. Let's see here. Rascalot wants to see Russell rematch Loma. Shit. That was a really good fight, their first fight. That was the last time I picked against Lomachenko. I seriously thought Gary Russell Jr. was too fast. That he was too good. I thought he was going to beat Lomachenko. But Lomachenko took care of that fight, and honestly, that was a very impressive win. A lot of people had high hopes for Gary Russell Jr. I mean, I highly recommend that you guys look up some of the prediction videos for that fight. Look up everyone's prediction videos. And look at the comment section and look at the perspective people had on Gary Russell Jr.'s future. You know, a lot of people were already looking past Lomachenko, saying that, you know, Gary Russell Jr. after this fight, he should do this, he should do that. He's going to beat Loma. Loma's never fought anybody as fast, as quick. He's too slick. And Lomachenko really, he outboxed, outslicked, outmaneuvered Russell. And Russell's a fucking hell of a fighter. Hell of a fighter. Let's see here. Salido is up for grabs in my book. Whoever beats him will be elevated to damn near TBE by the media and fanboys. Whoever beats Salido or whoever beats Lomachenko? Because whoever beats Lomachenko, whoever beats Lomachenko, I think is whoever beats Salido. Gotcha. Yeah, man. Salido's been fighting for a while. He's a warrior. He's an old school type fighter. He takes a lot of damage, so he definitely has had a rough career. And you know, there's a good chance that we're seeing the end of the road for him. So I'm sure that's why he wants to get paid. And I get, Sean Noon came to my channel and he said that I think the offer was for $750,000 for Salido. which, I kind of agree with him that that's not robbery. So I'm not saying that Lomachenko is looking to rob Salido, but I still think that Salido has put enough work for Top Rank and his fighters to where he can get $1 million payday. Why not? I think he deserves it. And the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You know what I mean? So closed mouth doesn't get fed. So he has to say something. Salido is currently injured, I hear. Yeah. Well, he's slowing down. He's not where he used to be, and yes, I can't imagine he's walking around with injuries all the time. Yeah, pay him $1 million. I mean, he deserves it. The guy is already underrated. He's already underrated, and he's put in a lot of work. And I don't think $1 million payday for Salido is asking for too much. Salido, because here's the thing, Salido can sell. Make that fight in San Diego. Lomachenko and Salido. Make that fight in Mexico. That fight will fucking sell. Make that fight in the United States, in Southern California, in Texas. That fight will sell. And guess what? Most of the people showing up will be Mexicans, going to support Salido. So does Salido, should he be able to demand, $1 million and that kind of money? Yeah, I think he deserves it. Salido versus Davis or Loma in Aztec Stadium? Yeah, man. Are you serious? Jesus fucking Christ. That shit would be amazing. Amazing. Historical stadium, too. Historical stadium. So many stories. Make that fight in Africa, and that will sell either. Make that fight in Africa, and that will sell. You know what? They should start airing more fights from Africa, man. Boxing fan. I think you were telling me in one of the videos that your family, or you come from Nambia, right? Same place as Ndongo. And I was talking about earlier in this live stream that I want to see more fighters from Africa, and it'd be great if they got more exposure. Ndongo is putting his foot in the door, and it would just be nice to see some of these fighters get more attention out here in the United States. But I'd like to see some hometown fights. Like, I want to see some hometown fights. There's so many countries in Africa, so many different countries. You got to have fighters out there that are really, really good that we don't know about, And it'd be nice to see if some coaches and trainers, I mean, it's going to be tough, but some coaches and trainers go out there and start scouting for talent. My brother-in-law is he tried running for Nigeria in the Olympics, track. And he went to Nigeria, and he did the whole, because I guess you have to run a certain time to qualify for the Olympic team, and I guess he was telling me that it's very hard in some of these countries in Africa because there's political and civil uprisings sometimes, and Money isn't easily found, and then a lot of the people that are handling the money, they are corrupt. So, I remember he was telling me he was stuck in New York and he was gonna get on the plane to travel to Nigeria, but he had to come up with the money right then and there. At first, they were telling him that they were going to cover the plane ride, and he had a other track, because there's a few people from the United States that their parents come from African countries, and you're able to, if you have dual citizenship, you can run for those countries in the Olympics. So, my brother-in-law was going to Nigeria to go run for the Nigerian track team. And he just ran into a lot of problems because of a lot of bullshit. So it's tough in some of these countries. It's very tough. It's very, very tough to make it in the United States. It's a lot easier for them to find Americans that have, dual citizenship and try to get athletes from here sometimes than it is to help them out there, because he was telling me that even the stadium where they were running, it was fucked up. It was the worst stadium he's ever been to. And he doesn't understand how some of these guys are able to train in that kind of environment. So, yeah, man, it's tough. Very, very tough. Developing countries have it hard. Oh, come on, Marvin Gardens. Don't be a spelly Nazi. Already giving boxing fans shit because he spelled something wrong. Come on. But yeah, man. Ndongo has Africa locked. You know what? If he beats Crawford, he will be the representation of the African warrior. You know what I mean? He will be that guy. And shit, it gives people more reason to cheer for Ndongo. If you're able to help elevate, the sport in an entire continent. Because think about it, man. We say Africa like it's a country. It's not a country. There's multiple countries in Africa. There's a shitload of fucking people in Africa. Like 30% of the world's population is fucking in Africa. You know what I mean? It's a fucking huge part of this world. We got to be able to find some athletes out there. And some of the struggles that they run into, it's no different than these guys that are coming from Haiti, Jamaica, Colombia, Mexico, Puerto Rico, developing countries where most of the athletes are coming from poor neighborhoods and poor families, and they along the way they run into a lot of problems with other people managing their money and taking priority with them and being able to provide them with all the tools needed to be able to compete. In the United States, our fighters, they get top shelf shit, top shelf food, top shelf training, top shelf weather. Fuck, top. It's a little bit easier for an athlete in the United States to succeed than it is for other people in other countries. A lot of people in the United States don't realize how good they have it compared to other countries. Golden Glory, what's up, man? Yeah, that's true. That's true. We live our life on a full stomach out here in the United States. The United States is a place where our poor people are fat. Think about that. our poor is obese. We have a fucking problem in the United States of because it's not a matter of here. It's not a matter of can you find food. It's can you find food that is healthy for you at a reasonable price. You know, while in other countries is shit, man. They gotta. Do they even have water? Fucking water. Water. You got a what's that city that's going through that water problem? Fuck, I fucking forgot. Where their water's contaminated and they anyways, if that happens here, it's a fucking uproar. But that's happening all around the world. We send our factories, our companies, our oil industry is all over the other side of the planet, ruining water supplies, rivers, lakes, and land, and ruining fertile land, so we can dig for oil and shit. And we don't have a problem fucking up the land for people in other countries, but something happens over here and we're crying and we're like, this is blasphemy. This shouldn't happen. And it's like, the fuck, man, it's happening all over the world. Flint, Michigan. That's right. Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan, man. You got Arco and Shell right now in Africa completely fucking destroying water supplies for people that are already struggling. Water, taking away their fundamental resource just so they can, get some oil and keep running their company, and they're able to do it. They're able to do it cheap. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit. The reason why the poor masses are fat in the USA is because of the $1 value meal in McDonald's, etc. Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. It's the $1 value meal, but then it's also like, it's all the other products that we got, man. That's why, like, a lot of people like the Mexican Coca-Cola over American Coca-Cola, because Mexican Coca-Cola has real sugar cane, while American Coca-Cola has corn syrup and natural sugar. It's easier to break down, while corn syrup kind of stays with you and just has a longer lasting effect. So even the food that we eat, anything that we eat, any snacks or anything like that, it's just worse when it's made in the United States. They get us sick and sell us the medicine. No, they get you sick and deny you the medicine. That's what they do. But you know what? A lot of it, it's a first world problem, bro. It's a first world problem. There's what they do, and then there's what we do as individuals, and we got to take into consideration sometimes, what we do. Can't blame the government or anything, for our own choices. Let's see. Only the rich get the medicine. Yeah, they get the medicine, and they get the medicine. They get and they get also legal defense, appropriate legal defense. They get a lot of things, but you get what you pay for in this country. You get what you pay for, and even if you're left at the in a situation where you have to depend on the government. Compared to other governments around the world, we have it really easy. We really do. As Americans, we have it very easy. I couldn't my stepdad came from Oaxaca, Mexico, right? And I spent a lot of time with him. And I could never complain to him. I could never complain to my grandma. I could never complain to my mom. Like, what? Even though I grew up in a poor neighborhood, and I didn't get all the toys I wanted, and I didn't get to join the football team because I didn't have, the registration fee. I couldn't do I couldn't buy the shoes that I wanted, just because I couldn't have these little things. There was still nothing I could complain about to these guys, because they would be like, what the fuck are you complaining about? My stepdad didn't get shoes until he was 10 years old. He got his first pair of shoes. How the fuck can I complain to him about wanting a Nintendo 64? Aztec, you lived in the hood. I grew up. There's a city. You guys, I know in LA there's cities that people know about. Compton, everybody knows about Compton. Everybody knows about East LA, But I grew up around Long Beach and Wilmington. And Wilmington is the fucking hood. I used to call it Gotham City because it looks like Gotham City. Like, it's right near the ports. You got the factories right there. You got the longshoremen, and there's a lot of areas where you're under freeways, and there's a lot of shit goes down there. I grew up in the hood. That's right. Yes. I also grew up in North Long Beach, 57th Street. It was a mixed neighborhood. The guys right across the street, it was a House of Bloods. I mean, I never asked them if they were Bloods, but I could only assume after, years and years of living there, everyone in that house wore red all the time. Never saw anybody wear blue. So, I mean, then you had a Samoan church at the corner right down the street. I mean, literally at the end of my street, there was a church, and they were also Bloods. So, I guess safe to say I lived in a blood neighborhood. And then in Wilmington, was all Southsiders. And for those of you who don't know, Southsiders is what it's just cholos, fucking Mexican Americans, No, I've never been a gang member. Boxing fan. I never joined a gang. I lived around gangs, but I never joined a gang. I lived in that environment. My cousin is in prison, death row, for killing a cop. So I got some family members that they rep their neighborhood, but I don't do that. I learned from them. I didn't want to live that life. I got another uncle who he's from National City, San Diego, and when he got out of prison, he moved in with me. It was me and him and the younger brother, my other cousin of the guy that's in on death row. So we all lived together, and we helped him change his life. And now my one of my uncles, the guy from National City, he got out of prison, started working full time, stopped selling drugs, started his family, has a beautiful family now, and all he does is he's worried about them, and he works. But I got to learn from their mistakes because I was the youngest cousin. So I got to see everyone else around me kind of, do their dirt, go in and out of juvie, go in and out of jail. I mean, it's just, you end up learning really quick when you're young. I remember my cousin, I remember getting picked up from school, and my cousin was in the emergency room because he got beat up by police officers. and so I don't know too many police officers. I don't really hang around them. Mostly my family's pretty hood. My grandma's fucking hood, but not from the United States, from Mexico. She used to hang out with. She was a singer, so she used to travel around Mexico singing, and she knew all the gangsters. She knew all the thugs. She knew everyone that was fucking, running the city and shit. And she knows, she taught me a lot of shit. She taught me a lot of shit. My grandma was hood as fuck, but Mexican, just straight up Mexican. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, good job, Novatos Locos. Nah, man. Nah, I didn't join a gang. I never felt like that was necessary for what I wanted. You know what I mean? Um, I had my mom. My mom was always around. I had little brothers. Um, Usually those are these kids that end up joining gangs. They're not being watched over, or they have very very close relatives that are also in gangs. So the older brother joined first, or or father was a gang member. He was in and out of prison. So I didn't. My dad wasn't like that. My stepdad wasn't like that. My mom wasn't like that. They weren't going in and out of prison. And even though my grandma hung around with some rough people, um, even my grandma had never been to jail, so she was just a singer. She was just around them. It was just um, she was an entertainer, so she was around these people. But it wasn't until family got to the United States, and the California, there's a lot of gangs. There's a lot of gangs, but especially around the 80s and 90s, the recruitment was on a fucking mass alert. So I was able to kind of already see what was going on based on what happened to my cousins, and seeing them, going, getting in and out of jail, getting into trouble and shit. I just didn't want to deal with that. And I tried little things, I'm not going to lie. I tried little things, I tried selling drugs, and it wasn't for me. I wasn't that kind of guy. Like, I couldn't sell, a fiend poison. You know what I mean? I don't have a heart for that, man. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a thug. I don't have that kind of ruthlessness where I can fuck over my own neighbors. You know what I mean? All right, boxing fan, take it easy. I live in a fucked up neighborhood in a ghetto too. Bro, bullet holes in my house, homeless everywhere, crime like a motherfucker. It sucks. Boxing comments. Yeah, yeah, Um, it sucks, but I don't know how to put it, man. I don't know how to put it. Like, now that I'm an adult. See, when I was a kid, I couldn't pick where I lived, right? But now that as an adult, I do worry about where I stay. You know, if my girlfriend has to leave early in the morning to go to work, I want her to feel safe from the moment she leaves my door to she gets to the car. And if she has to come home late, I would want her to be safe on the way home. So I worry about where I stay, not necessarily because of me, but because of my woman. And I don't know, I'm a little bit more used to certain things. I'm a little bit more accustomed to certain things that it's really not healthy. You know, um, drive-bys, drive-bys at a young age. At a young age. First couple drive-bys, you get fucking scared. I mean, you're scared shitless. You don't know what the fuck to do. Right? But after 10, 15 drive-bys, yeah, you just kind of crouch down, you duck your head a little bit, and then you wait for the wheels, you know, because you can hear them take off, cut the corner, then you're good. They're not coming back, you know, and very unhealthy, very unhealthy. I was staying out here in another, because if you guys are in LA, you guys know that we're just a bunch of, there's counties and then there's cities, and there's a lot of cities in LA County. And I was living in Orange County, where I'm at now, but in another city, Placentia. Still a lot better than, some of the places I lived in Long Beach. But there was some gang activity in this neighborhood. And I was laying down, and I heard 2 gunshots. Boom, boom. And it was quick. Woke me up. I told my girl to get on the ground. I had her call the police, and then right next door, you can hear that there was a party. And one of the girls said, "Oh my God, I told him not to go out there." And I put on my shoes, and I heard the truck or the car already leave. So I knew they were gone. So I put on my shoes, I ran outside, and I fucking saw this dude dying right in front of my eyes, man. It's fucking sad. He wasn't a gang member. Problem with him was that the city I lived in was called Placentia, and the gang was called Plaz. And he was standing outside in the alley smoking a cigarette. And some car pulled up in front of him and said, "Where are you from?" And the guy said, "Plaz." Because he's, I don't know if he's a college student, but that's what all the young kids are calling Placentia, but that's an actual name of a gang. So, he got shot right then and there as soon as he said Plaz. If there's one rule that I would give to anybody moving into the hood, if you're moving your children into the hood, man, and you got to teach them how to answer certain questions, especially in California. I can't speak for anywhere else, but in California, you got to teach them how to answer a question correctly and be able to spot what someone means by them asking you where you're from. Anywhere else, if you're in fucking North Dakota and someone says, "Hey, buddy, where you from?" You answer that question like anything. Fucking Plaz, West Side, what's up? Shit, nothing's gonna happen, right? But in Southern California, in certain neighborhoods, you just gotta be very careful. If someone says, "Where are you from?" my answer is, "I'm visiting." Or unless I live here, I say, "I'm a resident. I live here." And I make it very clear, I don't bang. And that's it. Usually conversation's over after that. But if you don't know how to answer that shit, then fuck, man. You never know what could happen. Boxing saves lives and open doors for children. That's right. Which is why I would like to see some of these developing countries in Africa get a little bit more notoriety, and it'd be nice to see these fighters move out of their respective conditions and be able to make a future in boxing. That's why there used to be white and Jewish American champions, because at one point they were still living in ghettos. Yeah, that's why the Irish in the United States, they were big boxers. Italians too. Italians, they weren't looked at as white people, and they were also they played a huge part in boxing. I tell my kids to answer back God when asked where they're from. Bro, I'm telling you this. When someone asks you where you're from and you're from Southern California, dude, I don't play with that question, man. I really don't. If I don't have kids, but if I did have kids, I would tell them the answer, either I'm just visiting, I don't bang, or I live here, I don't bang. You know, very very simple, very simple. And you say it with respect. You don't fucking puff up your chest. You say it with your respect, but just understand what could happen after if you don't answer the right way. And there's a lot of motherfuckers out there that are just looking to start beef. And if you give them just a little bit of attitude and they think that you're playing with them, where you from? God, you know, shit. What the fuck you saying, homie? You playing with me? You think I'm a joke? You know? And then next thing you know, it gets crazy. I don't know. I think if you're gonna answer that question, man, you got to answer it knowing why you're answering it. Let's see. Imagine what the ghettos are like in Africa. The ghettos in Africa are they're way different. You know, the social construct is different. There's political debates. Some of these places go through civil wars. Um, you know, you have kidnappings, fucking kidnappings. You know, kidnappings, and this is very 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 common in places like Cambodia, not just Africa. You know, places like Cambodia, Mexico. Mexico, this shit happens in Mexico all the time. Motherfuckers go missing. There was that one, even our relationship with the police, even our relationship with police. You know, we have a very low standard for our cops, but man, in other countries where you got places like Africa, Asia, Mexico, the police can be very 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 corrupt, like very corrupt, like they'll fucking kill you corrupt, you know, um, and they'll hide it. They'll hide it, you know. United States, we do that kind of, but it's not that deep. Like it's really not that deep. Usually what we have, this is our biggest problem. Too many idiots, right? We have too many untrained idiots. Usually the reason why someone died is because of a stupid fucking reason, right? It's not like the cops are really out there fucking, you know, um, literally conspiring. And when I mean literally conspiring, I mean, I'll give you guys an example. Not too long ago, a few years ago in Mexico, like fucking 30 kids were kidnapped by the police. They were protesting because they wanted better schools, they wanted better material, they wanted more food, and they wanted support from the government for their school. But the police used to hate them. And the mayor ordered the police to take these kids, they shot up the school bus. Then they took the kids and they fucking gave them to the mafia, or the cartel that was running that area. And next thing you know, they started looking for the kids, and they started finding nothing but burial mounds of different people that they don't even know who the fuck they are. And finally, they found the kids, and they were all chopped up and dead. That shit's fucked down. Now that is real conspiracy. You know, that is a real, like, the government's out to get you type shit. You know, in the United States, we kind of have the softer version of everything. In my city, fools assume that you are lying when you don't tell them a gang name. But these cholos do respect the religious kids when they pull that church talk, bro. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're able to pull it off, you know, if you're able to say, um, if someone says where you're from and you say, well, look, I'm a man of God, but you have to be very clear, man. You have to be very clear. And also depends on how you carry yourself, how you dress. You know, like I said, I don't have kids, but if I have kids, from the ages of fucking infancy to teenagers, I'm not going to let them shave their head for good reason. You know, I'm going to try to keep their hair just a little bit longer for good reason. And I definitely would not like them to have tattoos while they're young for good reason, you know. And then if they do get tattoos, be very careful of the type of tattoos that you get. You know, I can't just walk in there and get a fucking Aztec version tattoos. I can't just do that because some of these tattoos mean something in prison. They mean you put in work. And you have to be very careful. I read an Arter Better interview talking about as a child, his village was occupied by jihadists. Wow. And the Russian government selling his home really puts things in perspective. Oh, yeah, man. In the United States, we don't know anything about. I mean, when's the last time you've had a foreign country take their tanks across your neighborhood, where you have, the army of a foreign country in your neighborhood, watching you while you walk your kids to school, at a grocery store outside posted up, you see tanks, you see helicopters. We don't go through that. We don't go through that. We're always occupying another country. We're always in someone else's shit. But we as Americans, we're so fucking separated from the rest of the world that, we really have a lot of first world problems. It's what we have. Oh, whoa, shelling. Shelling. So you meant shelling, like literally fucking shooting up his house? All right, guys. My phone died. Sorry about that. But I guess I'm back on. I'm gonna end this off now officially. All right, guys. I had a lot of fun. Hope you guys tune in on the next one.